Hello everyone, my name is Vladimir Kazarinov and this is a vlog about Russia. So in previous video I gave some information about average salaries in my home city Irkutsk, which somehow represents approximately the whole country except maybe the biggest cities like Moscow, the capital of the country, and St. Petersburg, the second largest city of the country. So let me make a quick reminder for you. So the average salary in Irkutsk in the year of 2021 was 56 and something after tax rubles. I think it's obvious that this data is a bit outdated, so we need to make some inflation adjustments. So speaking of current reality, we can consider that the average salary at this period of time, so at August of 2023, was, let's say, 67,500 rubles. So that's the certain number, average monthly salary. So, but what it means actually, what could average person buy for this amount of money? Before giving some examples of, so we need to consider some examples of customers' prices of some goods and services which people used to use every day, which people used to consume every day. Before doing this, let me make some, I think, important note about the difference between average and median metrics in terms of measuring incomes, in terms of measuring all the other things which have some quantitative dimension, so to say. So for those of you who is quite familiar what's the difference between the average and the median, I'm really glad for you. You can just skip this part, this break of video. Anyway, speaking about this difference, so the average means that, let's say, we have a row of numbers, so we sum them and divide on the quantity of these numbers, so this will be average. The median means that we have a row of numbers which are arranged from the lowest to the biggest. So the median means the number or between two neighboring numbers which divide this row on equally two parts. So one part will be lower than median and one part will be higher than median. So that's the difference between average and the median. So let me give you some really basic, really simple example how same row of numbers could give different meaning in terms of average and median characteristics. So let's say we have a really simple a row of numbers. Let's say we have 1 and let's say 2, let's say, and 4, and let's say 8, and let's say 16. So the idea is that every next number will be twice bigger than the previous. So that's somehow we are getting closer to what might be called inequality. So if we sum all these numbers, let me do this quickly: 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16. We have a sum of 31. So and we have 5 numbers in this row of numbers. So if we divide 31 on 5, we'll have the average, which is 6 and 2. So this is the average meaning of this row of numbers. So, but if we want to find the median characteristic of this row of numbers, we should really easily find that this is 4, because this is the middle number of this simple row of numbers. So there are 5 numbers. So in the right in the center, this is the third number, which is 4. So the median characteristic of this row of number is 4. So the average is 6 and 2, and the median is 4. That's the difference. So usually when we measure incomes in, I guess, in any country, in any society, in every city, we have such things as inequality. So the average income or salary will be bigger than median. But this is always takes place, almost always. So no surprise that this takes place in Russia. But unfortunately, the government statistic department doesn't provide median numbers about salaries. I don't know why it takes place. Maybe this will happen recently in expected future, but now we have only average salaries, so average salaries, so this is all we got. So after this explain the difference between average and median, I really think I should give some my thoughts, my notes about the next thing. According at my impression, at my some simple calculation, according to Russian demography, which will be some of the next episodes, some of the next videos, the average salary is the salary to which average person comes, let's say, in the middle of his 60s. So if you are Russian and you're about 55, 56, 50, maybe 7, you probably will have average salary. So if you are just graduated to what in European countries is called college, in Russia we call it university, and you receive this statistic, you receive these numbers, you look at these numbers like, oh my god, 67 and a half thousands of rubles, and you look at your own salary, which could be maybe depends on your certain job, depends on certain qualification, which could be about maybe 15,000 of rubles, maybe 20,000 of rubles monthly. So you start to angry, like, where is my average salary? Why my actual salary is really low? Oh my god, because you are not average, my boy, my girl. I'm sorry, I don't want to be snobbish, but this would really often takes place in Russia, like when young people they start to complain about their low salary because they don't have much experience, right? So the average is when you finish college and you have been doing your career about 20, 25, 30 years, and you come to average. That's the reality of Russian society, and I think something similar takes place in other societies. If I'm not right, if you have some the data about your society, about your country, please let me know, please correct me. So that's the difference between start salary and average salary. So we have 7 and a half thousand rubles. But what it means in terms of consumption, in terms of level of consumption, what average Russian could buy for this amount of money. Next, I will give some examples about some example of prices on some customers' goods and services. Some important note about this: I will not give examples about prices of housing, like you want to buy apartment, you want to buy house, because this is not something what people used to buy for their monthly salary, right? Or even for their yearly salary. Buying property means that you have some long period of savings, maybe several years, and this could be not enough, so you have to borrow money, which means mortgage, which takes place in Russia. And I will tell about this later. This is another big topic. So price of housing will not be included in my examples, but the price of rent, I can give you example. In my hometown Irkutsk, you can rent a one-room apartment for about from 14 up to 16,000 rubles monthly. This depends on certain location. This does include the most expensive lots, like in the central part of the city, in the historical center. Let's say something outside the center of the city, but depends on certain location, certain quality, interior, all these things. The sum will be some like this, from 14 up to 60,000 rubles. So that means that you will pay from 20 to 23, maybe 24% of your monthly income for rent, which is quite reasonable, not as much, but you have average salary. Let's not forget about this. Another important another important note about this example, like the difference between one-room and one-bedroom apartment. I realize that in European countries, people mostly operate in terms of number of bathrooms in bedrooms in the apartment. So one bedroom apartment means that there is one living room and one bedroom, so which means there are two rooms in this apartment. So this is what will be called one bedroom apartment, but in Russia this will be called a two-room apartment. So one room apartment means that there are only one room, which is same time living room, and at the same time this is a bedroom. So I think this will be called in European countries like a studio. All right, now you have a place to live. You rent a one-room apartment, for example. I'm pretty sure this is not everything you need. I'm pretty sure you want something to eat, right? Every day, several times a day. It's for me 3, maybe 4 times a day. So that's very healthy of our life. What can you buy for the rest of your average salary in local hypermarkets here in Russia, in my hometown Irkutsk? Let me first of all note that the choice of different food goods, customers goods, basic goods, not so basic, is really good, is really almost great. Not maybe so great as it could be in perfect world, but it's really, really good. You can find anything, all you need is money. That's very healthy of our life. All right, and let me give you some examples about prices of some basic customers goods, like food, like other customers goods. And after every price I will give a ratio, which means how many units or maybe kilograms or maybe certain units of this good you can buy for the average salary. I realize this is not fully correct. It doesn't represent our everyday reality, because people don't buy, they don't buy bread for their whole monthly salary. They don't buy sugar for their whole monthly salary. I realize, but this is just ratios which you can compare to your prices, to your salaries, and make some conclusions about level of consumptions, about level of incomes, of salaries in terms of purchasing power in your country, in your place where you used to live. So, all right. So let's start with some basics, some really basic, food. Let's say you want to buy a loaf of bread in a local hypermarket. So the average price will be about 50 rubles, which means that you could buy about 1,350 loaves of bread for a month, if you wanted to make it, if you want to buy all the bread for your monthly salary. So, but I'm pretty sure you don't want, but still, it's just ratio. So let's say you want to buy a liter of milk, which could cost you about 80 rubles per liter, which means you could buy about 843 liters of milk per month, something like this. Let's say you wanna buy 10 eggs, which will cost you about 108 rubles, which means you could buy about 6,236 eggs, single eggs per month. All right, something like this. Let's say you want to buy something more delicious. Let's say after chicken eggs you want to buy chicken fillet. So you can buy 1 kilo of chicken fillet for about 388 rubles, which means you can buy 178 kilos of chicken fillet per month, something like this. Let's say you want to buy something even more delicious than chicken. You want a beef around a kilo, which will be more expensive, which will be about 625 rubles approximately, which means a little more than hundreds of kilos a month. But this is beef. This is really something delicious, something a bit expensive. All right, let's consider some price on, let's say, fruits. Let's say you want to buy a kilograms of apple, which will cost you 140 rubles, which means you can buy about 684 kilograms of apples per month, something like this. Let's say bananas, which could cost you about 125 rubles, which means 540 kilograms of bananas per month. All right. Let's say you want to something like oranges. So you can buy a kilo of oranges for in exchange for 170 rubles, which means 397 kilograms per month, something like this. So let's say you want to use a local transportation, which looks like this. So the one-way ticket could be from 25 to 35 rubles. Let's approximate to 30, which means you can, if you have two ways per day. Let's say you walk somewhere, and let's say on your weekend you drive somewhere for some your different purposes. Let's say you have two ways per day, which means about 61 tickets per month, which will cost you about 108,060 rubles per month, which is not as much compared to your monthly salary. Let's say just about 3% of your average monthly salary, which is not so expensive. Also, you can buy a pass ticket for the whole month, which will be about 1,200 rubles. All right. So maybe you want to drive yourself in the city with more comfort, so you can take taxi, which will cost you about maybe 200 rubles per one way. The certain number, the certain price will depend on the length of your road or the length of your trip, but let's say about 200 rubles. So which means that if you drive only taxi, if you have about 61, maybe 62 roads per month, so let's say you go on your walk and way back, and 2 ways in your each of your spare day, which will cost you about 20,400 rubles, which will be close to 20% of your total monthly income. I'm pretty sure this will be a bit expensive, so you probably wouldn't do that. So you probably would combine taxi and public transportation, but in this case you'd better buy yourself a car, which will cost you a bit cheaper when you use taxi all the time, because when you use taxi, of course, you make profit to somebody, to the owner of the taxi, to this application which provide the services to the taxi drivers and all these things. So these are taxis. So all right, let's move on. Let me give you some more examples about prices. Let's say you live in this one-room apartment, so you need to pay for utilities, which means for electricity, for the water, for the some other types of cleaning outside of your apartment, for taking away your garbage from all these things, which means you have utilities for your apartment, which will cost you about approximately 1,700 rubles per month, for which is, I would say, not as much. And if you live in a big city like Moscow, the capital city of Russia, and like in St. Petersburg, where the cost of electricity is much higher than in smaller places, so which will cost you much more. So as I know, for the citizens of that city, the cost of the utilities is more high, so they sometimes complain like we pay a lot for our electricity, for our water, for our heating, for our cooling, but well, they live in a really big city, in the capital city. That's the price they probably pay for it. So I'm pretty sure that you would like to have internet connection when you live in this one-room apartment, which I necessarily need. I need for my job, I need for my some hobby activities. So as for me, I have 2 megapixels connection, unlimited amount of data, which cost me 620 rubles per month. The quality of connection, the stability is really fine. I have no complaints to local providers, so it works really good, really great. So that's some examples of some basic prices which you could see, which you could face if you live in Russia. So I think that's all for today. That's all for today's videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos.